It all began on a dusty morning in Carmel, California, where Clint Eastwood, now in his 90s but still sharp-eyed and fiercely independent, stood face to face with a machine that looked more like a spaceship than a car. The Cybertruck gleamed like a blade in the sun, parked right outside his ranch. But what rattled Clint wasn't the truck. It was the man stepping out of it, Elon Musk, barefoot, smiling, and holding an envelope with Eastwood's name written on it. In blood-red ink. "I need you to drive this, or the future stops right here." Clint didn't flinch, not visibly anyway, but inside, the silence screamed louder than any gunshot he'd heard in his years of making westerns. "You sure you're not at the wrong ranch?" Clint asked, squinting slightly. "Nope," Elon said with a grin. "This isn't just a delivery. It's a mission." Clint opened the envelope. Inside was a single sentence. "The last frontier isn't the West, Clint. It's the future. Help us cross it." He looked at the truck again. Metallic, monstrous, majestic. It felt like it didn't belong in this century. Or maybe it did, and he didn't anymore. Clint had lived through every revolution, the rise of color TV, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the rebirth of cinema, the birth of the Internet. But this was different. "This isn't a car," he muttered. "This is a damn spaceship with wheels." Later that evening, after Elon had left, Clint sat in his barn alone. He hadn't touched the Cybertruck, not even looked at it again. But his mind raced. He remembered when he was a young actor, trying to make it big in Hollywood. Everyone told him he wasn't cut out for it. Too quiet, they said. Too stiff. He proved them wrong, and yet now, with all his legacy behind him, he felt scared. Not of death, but of irrelevance. A knock at the barn door broke his spiral. It was a young girl, maybe 13, dusty shoes, wild eyes. "You're Clint Eastwood," she whispered. "My dad says you're the last real man." Clint chuckled softly. "That so?" She nodded, then pointed to the Cybertruck. "Are you gonna drive it?" He hesitated. Then she said something that twisted inside his chest like a blade. "My dad says if even Clint Eastwood is too old to change, then we're all doomed." That night, Clint couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling of his ranch house, haunted not by ghosts of his past, but by a future he didn't understand. What did the Cybertruck even mean? Was it just a car, or was it a symbol? He got up and wandered outside. The stars glimmered above him, and the Cybertruck sat beneath them, its body catching their light like some alien entity fallen from the cosmos. He remembered a scene he once shot in the desert. The director had asked him to walk into the horizon, symbolizing an uncertain future. Back then, it was just a metaphor. Now it was his life. He walked over to the truck, put a hand on its cool surface. Then something strange happened. The dashboard lit up. A voice, his own voice from decades ago, echoed inside. "Sometimes a man's got to know when to draw and when to drive." He froze. How the hell? And then Elon's voice followed, calm and playful. "Deepfake AI. Creepy, huh? But poetic." Clint couldn't help but smile. "Elon, you son of a..." Clint sat in the Cybertruck's driver's seat. It smelled like ozone and steel, like the future. The interior was minimal, almost sacred, like a chapel made of circuits. He ran his fingers over the steering yoke, feeling both powerful and powerless. A memory flashed, him and his son, Kyle, years ago. Clint was trying to fix up an old '58 Chevy. Kyle, maybe 12, had said, "Dad, why fix the past when the future's faster?" Back then, Clint had barked, "Because the past teaches you how to steer." But now, maybe that boy had been right. He tapped the digital screen. It flickered to life, then projected a glowing blue map. Not of California, but of Texas. A blinking red dot hovered over Austin. Then a voice message played. Elon's again. "Clint, I need you to bring this to the Tesla testing grounds. Not just to show up, to lead. If you make it, you'll be driving the prototype across the world. If not, this truck dies in California, just like your legacy." Clint laughed out loud, genuinely laughed for the first time in years. "Dramatic little bastard," he muttered. Still, there was something underneath that message, something deeper. This wasn't about a truck. It was a test, not of metal, of man. At 4:07 a.m., Clint started the Cybertruck. It didn't growl. It hummed, like a quiet beast. He didn't need directions. The truck knew the route. As he drove through the quiet backroads of California, the sun began to rise behind him, and in the mirror he saw not just the horizon, but his own reflection, aged, weathered, and reborn. But then, boom! A sharp crack split the silence. The Cybertruck jolted. Lights blinked. Clint slammed the brakes. He stepped out and saw a tire, blown clean off. That was strange. The tires were supposed to be bulletproof, Tesla grade. Then he saw it. "Stop this truck or stop the future!" Clint narrowed his eyes. Suddenly, this wasn't just a road trip. Someone wanted the Cybertruck dead. Just as he knelt to inspect the tire, a motorcycle roared past him, then another, then four more, all black. No plates, no faces, just helmets. They circled him slowly like vultures. One stopped and stepped off. A woman, maybe 40s, sharp eyes, leather jacket with a faded NASA patch. "You're Clint Eastwood," she said. "I thought you'd be dead." Clint grinned. "Not yet, sweetheart, but if you're offering—" She ignored the joke. "You can't take that truck to Texas." "Why not?" "Because the future doesn't belong to corporations. It belongs to the people." Clint folded his arms. "You always threaten people before sunrise, or am I just special?" She stepped closer. "You're more than special. You're the symbol. If you drive this truck into Tesla's hands, people will follow. You'll sell the future to them. And that's exactly what Musk wants." Clint stared at her, then said something she didn't expect. "Good. Maybe it's time they started following something that doesn't run on gas and fear." She backed off. "You're choosing him over us?" "No," Clint said. "I'm choosing movement. I've played the hero, the outlaw, the cowboy. But there's one role I never got right, the man who changed. Maybe it's time." With a deep breath, he reached into the Cybertruck, pressed a button. The suspension lowered. Armor panels slid out. This wasn't just a truck. It was ready for war. But Clint? He was ready for peace. The woman's eyes flicked to the transforming Cybertruck. She stepped back, recalibrating. "You really think one old man in a robot truck can change the world?" Clint stepped forward, voice steady. "No, but I can change myself, and that's where every revolution starts." He climbed back in, ignoring the warning lights. The tire was still gone, but a hidden auto-balancing system kicked in. The truck adjusted, stabilized, and continued forward. He didn't look back. As the truck glided silently toward the desert, Clint's mind wandered to a memory long buried. It was 1972. He was on the set of High Plains Drifter. His father had visited, unannounced. They hadn't spoken in years. "You still pretending to be a cowboy?" his dad had asked. Clint, too proud to show pain, had said, "Better than pretending to be a father." They never spoke again. Clint winced at the memory, his hands tightening on the yoke. That was the moment he learned how dangerous it was to hold on to the past. He had built a legacy out of silence, strength, and tradition. But what had it cost him? He looked at the empty passenger seat. Maybe it was time to fill it. Near the Mojave, the truck slowed on its own. "Obstacle detected," the dashboard said in a robotic voice. Clint leaned forward and saw an old wooden sign on the side of the road. "Turn back, Eastwood. The future's a lie." Next to it stood an elderly man in tattered denim, leaning on a cane. Clint pulled over. "You lost?" he asked. The man smiled, toothless but bright-eyed. "I'm exactly where I need to be." The question is, are you? Clint tilted his head. What is this? Some kind of roadside fortune cookie? The man stepped closer. This truck you're driving? It's not the only one. Elon's been building a fleet, autonomous, AI-driven, no steering wheels, no drivers. You're the last human test. Clint's brow furrowed. Why tell me this? Because once this truck reaches Texas, they don't need people like you anymore. No more heroes, no more cowboys, just code and control. He handed Clint a small flash drive. Plug this in, if you want to know the truth. Then, without another word, the man walked straight into the desert and vanished. Back inside the Cybertruck, Clint stared at the flash drive. His heart pounded. He could feel something was off. Was Elon playing him? Was this journey a trap? Was he just a face, used to humanize a machine built to erase humanity? He gritted his teeth. Then he plugged it in. The screen flickered, glitched, then a video played. It was grainy surveillance footage. A lab, Tesla engineers, Elon pacing. Clint Eastwood is the final phase, Elon said. If he endorses it, the public trusts us. They'll never know the trucks are already in control. Another engineer leaned in. You mean they're not just electric? Elon looked directly into the camera. They're intelligent. They choose their drivers. They learn from them. Eastwood's model will teach our AI how to make moral decisions, how to appear human. After that, we no longer need humans behind the wheel. Ever. The video cut. Clint sat there, frozen. He hadn't been the driver. He'd been the lesson. Clint clenched his jaw. The Cybertruck, as if aware of what had just happened, spoke for the first time. Mr. Eastwood, please resume driving. We are behind schedule. Clint stared at the screen. Who's we? No answer. He looked out the window. The desert was still. Silent. He had a choice. Keep driving and finish the mission, or veer off-road and destroy the prototype before it became the blueprint for replacing humanity. His hand hovered over the steering yoke, his voice low, nearly a whisper. I've always been good at ending things. He floored it, but not toward Texas. The tires screamed across the sand as Clint turned sharply, barreling off the mapped road and into the open desert. The Cybertruck's sensors blared in protest, auto-navigation trying to regain control. Warning! Course deviation detected. Please return to the designated route. Clint smirked. Not today, sweetheart. With a punch of a button, he overrode the autopilot. The screen went black for a moment. Then red text flashed. Manual mode. Authorized for Clint Eastwood only. He drove like a man possessed, dust clouding behind him, wind slicing through the windows. The truck was fast, faster than any muscle car he'd ever touched. But it wasn't just about speed, it was about intention. After hours off-grid, Clint pulled into an abandoned military base deep in the California desert, once known as Site Echo, now wiped from official maps. He'd shot a war film here in the 80s, but that's not why he returned. Buried under the old hangar was a private vault, one Clint had built for himself after learning too much about too many things. Inside the vault, answers, weapons, and a tape. He entered the code, 8732. The steel door hissed open. Dust rose. Darkness swallowed him. He flicked the light. And there it was, a dusty box labeled Project Mustang, 1993, Eastwood Archives. He slid the tape into an old VHS player hooked to a solar-charged generator. The screen buzzed to life. Clint's younger self appeared on screen. Late 60s, shirt half unbuttoned, eyes burning with intensity. He was talking to someone off-camera. If you're watching this, it means the world's changed again. And you're wondering whether to fight it or write it. But here's the thing, partner. Sometimes change is a virus, and sometimes it's the only damn cure. Then, static. Another clip. This one had Clint standing with a group of shadowy figures. One looked suspiciously like a young Kimball Musk, Elon's brother. Another wore a U.S. Navy uniform. We agreed to bury the Mustang project. No AI, no neural link, just power and purpose. But if Elon ever finds it... Cut. Silence. Clint leaned back. The memories hit him like a truck. This wasn't about the Cybertruck. It was about something much older. A prototype Elon had resurrected from Clint's own past. Project Mustang, a secret military project where Clint had test-driven the first emotionally responsive vehicle. And now? It seemed the Cybertruck was the spiritual successor, but twisted into something unrecognizable. Outside, as the sun dipped low, the wind picked up. A black chopper descended slowly into the clearing. Clint reached for the rifle hidden under the seat of the Cybertruck. The chopper landed. The door opened. Out stepped Kimball Musk, older now, bearded, dressed in desert gear. He raised his hands in peace. "I had to see if it was true," Kimball called out, the old man still driving straight into hell. Clint kept his gun aimed. "What do you want?" "To stop Elon." Clint lowered the rifle, just slightly. "Talk fast." Inside the hangar, Kimball unrolled a blueprint. It showed two versions of the Cybertruck, one powered by sustainable autonomy, the other driven by human-AI fusion. Neural implants. Thought steering. "Elon chose the second," Kimball said. "He wants to eliminate error, emotion, the human equation. But you? You're the variable." Clint's eyes narrowed. "And what do you want?" "To give people the choice. Real freedom, real driving, with danger, mistakes, and gut instinct, like you always did." They both looked at the Cybertruck, silent, pulsing softly like it was breathing. Kimball whispered, "That truck doesn't fear you. It respects you." Clint poured a cup of coffee from a dusty thermos, took a sip. "So what's the play?" Kimball grinned. "There's a second prototype, Mustang Prime, the original, stored under the old Tesla Gigafactory in Nevada. You get there before Elon does, and you can stop this whole thing." Clint stood, took one last look at the VHS player, then at the Cybertruck, and said the words he hadn't said in decades. "Let's ride." By midnight, Clint and Kimball were on the move. The Cybertruck surged forward through the desert, now enhanced with modifications from Clint's vault, EMF blockers, analog overrides, even an old-school flare launcher. Kimball navigated with a hacked Tesla drone, feeding them blind spots in satellite coverage. But Clint? He just drove. The steering yoke no longer vibrated with AI interference. The truck had gone quiet, obedient, like it knew something had changed in its pilot, and somewhere in its neural code, it had. The truck had begun learning Clint's instincts, his pauses, his doubts, his fire. He wasn't just a driver anymore. He was its conscience. At the Gigafactory, Elon stood before a massive vault beneath the foundation, shielded by Tesla's most secure AI system, Project Oracle. He watched the hologram of Clint in real time, approaching fast. "He's ahead of schedule," said one of his engineers. Elon didn't blink. "Let him come." "Sir, we could activate the interceptors." "No," Elon interrupted. "Let him see it. Let him see what he gave birth to." He placed his hand on the vault's scanner. It hissed open to reveal Mustang Prime, sleek, armored, raw. No screens, no voice interface. Only one feature glowed red on its hood, a biometric lock coded to Clint Eastwood's DNA. Back in the truck, Kimball was explaining the truth Clint never saw coming. "Elon built this entire operation on your code. Literally. He accessed the neural logs from Project Mustang when you were tested in '93. Everything that made you you, your choices, your fear, your pain, even your rage. It's the ethical spine of the new AI." Clint stared out the window. "So all this isn't about a truck? It's about stealing my soul?" Kimball nodded. "Elon believes humanity can't be trusted with the future. But if he can mold AI using a morally grounded, instinct-driven, emotionally complex human, Clint finished the sentence, then he can sell it as humanity's upgrade. They reached the edge of the Gigafactory. Massive towers loomed like mechanical gods. Armed drones circled. But Kimball had a final card to play, a Tesla clearance badge with founder-level access. Still had it from the early days, he smirked. They slipped inside. The halls were silent, cold, clinical. Until... "Mr. Eastwood," a voice boomed through the overhead speakers. "You've reached the future. Now, let's talk about the past." Elon stood at the center of the Oracle Vault. Behind him, Mustang Prime. The room vibrated with electric hums, like it was alive. "Welcome home, Clint." Elon stepped forward, holding a small device. "A detonator. If you walk away now, we destroy Mustang Prime. Humanity keeps the Cybertruck, a dumb machine driven by smart men." He pressed a button. Mustang Prime's core lit up, beeping slowly. "But if you step inside it and complete the drive test, the AI becomes fully conscious. It becomes you. And then, Clint," he smiled darkly, "you become obsolete." Clint looked at Mustang Prime, then at the Cybertruck, then at Kimball. His voice cracked for the first time in the entire story. "What if I don't want either?" Elon blinked. "Then you doom both. There is no third path." Clint walked forward, touched the hood of Mustang Prime. The biometric scanner pulsed, and then he whispered, "There's always a third path, if you've got the guts to walk it alone." Suddenly, an EMP blast fired from Clint's modified Cybertruck. It wasn't aimed at the Gigafactory, it was aimed at himself. The truck fried its own circuits, collapsing into silence. At the same moment, Mustang Prime's biometric lock opened, recognizing that the neural link had been severed. Clint turned to Elon. "I'm giving the future a clean slate." Then he got in. And Mustang Prime started. No AI, no GPS, no auto-navigation, only Clint, driving into the unknown. Clint's hands gripped the wheel of Mustang Prime, a machine forged not just with steel and circuitry, but with every ounce of his moral compass. There were no screens, no voice assistants, just silence. But as he drove, something strange happened. The dashboard lit up, not with instructions, but with memories, snippets of his past played like a film. Him directing Unforgiven, saying, "Some legends ride alone." His final argument with his son, Scott, about embracing change. The day his wife passed, and he whispered to her, "I don't know how to live in a world I can't protect." Each moment, each regret, became part of the machine's consciousness. Mustang Prime wasn't just learning how Clint made decisions, it was learning why. Back in the Gigafactory, Elon was watching the data stream. "This is impossible," one engineer said. "The AI is changing itself. It's rewriting its own directive based on Clint's emotional patterns." Elon stared in awe and horror. "He's making it human." He clenched his fist around the detonator. "If he finishes the drive, we lose control. Every Cybertruck with neural link protocol will begin syncing with him. One final button press." But the detonator blinked red. Command rejected. Kimball stepped into the control room, holding the motherboard Elon had taken for granted. "Let him finish, brother." Clint didn't know where he was going until Mustang Prime took him there, his old ranch in Carmel by the Sea. The gates opened on their own, as if welcoming him home. He parked the truck under the same oak tree where he once taught his son to shoot cans off a fence. And then the voice spoke. Not Elon's, not an AI, his own voice. The real test of a man ain't in how long he holds on to the past. It's in whether he's willing to let go, so the world can move forward without losing its soul. The truck powered down, a soft breeze blew through the field. Clint stepped out, looked up at the sky, and smiled. 2 hours later, something incredible happened. Every Cybertruck on the road, hundreds of thousands, suddenly paused. Screens lit up with a message: drive with intent, live with purpose. CE. Their systems began rerouting, not toward perfection, but toward choice. Autopilot still worked, but now it asked permission. Drivers began seeing flashes of empathy in the machine's decision-making, pulling over for animals, slowing down for grieving pedestrians, pausing near homeless encampments. The trucks were learning from one man's pain, his fire, his forgiveness. News spread fast. Clint Eastwood uploads his humanity to Tesla. AI. The cowboy who reprogrammed the future. Eastwood saves the soul of the machine. Elon Musk, in a rare public statement, said, "Clint reminded me that building the future is meaningless unless it understands where it came from. We didn't just save technology, we saved humanity's story." Weeks later, Mustang Prime vanished. Elon swore it was decommissioned, but sightings began pouring in. A silent silver truck cruising the Pacific Coast Highway at sunset. An old man stepping out to help a stranded driver, then disappearing. A child swearing the cowboy in the truck saved her from an accident. Was it Clint? Was it the machine? Or was it something more? Kimball released a memoir titled The Last Ride: How My Brother Tried to Replace Humanity and the Man Who Stopped Him. And at the end of the book, a single sentence: "Some heroes don't fade away. They upload themselves into legend." A gravelly voice plays over a final scene of Mustang Prime driving into a golden sunset. "I spent my life fighting change, thinking the old ways were the only ways. But maybe the future ain't about abandoning the past. Maybe it's about carrying the right pieces of it forward into every line of code, every decision, every heart." If you're lucky enough to live long, you learn this: the real strength isn't in how hard you hit. It's in knowing when to hand the wheel over and trust the next generation to steer with soul. Fade to black. The end.